Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors' massive 127-106 win against the Charlotte Hornets. Record, the Charlotte Hornets have been playing really well this season. Kemba Walker's been cooking, but the Toronto Raptors made light work of Charlotte here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to sound melodramatic, but it certainly seems as though the Raptors are the definite best team in the East. I really am sizing up any matchup against any Eastern Conference opponent. I just cannot foreseeably see any reason that the Raptors can't handle a team just this way.
Yeah, most definitely, especially the way we've come out and just really gelled at the start of the season. And the only competition is the Boston Celtics, and they just lost to the Orlando Magic. But it's early in the year. We can't judge anything too quickly, but looking at this game tonight, the player that really stood out to me, and he struggled in our last game against Washington, but Danny Green, my goodness, he was on fire here tonight. 16 points, 6 rebounds, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. It's really nice to have a 3-and-D guy that actually hits threes and plays defense.
Yeah, 100%. What I think is most impressive, though, and the reason that any of the success of the Raptors team, the reason that the bench came out and the secondary bench at the end of the game closed out, and Danny Green said it, and he's a big contributor to this whole mantra, this whole philosophy this year, is the defense, man. And his defense is crazy. Mm-hmm. His transition defense, his ability to guard the wing, and it just is contagious for the rest of the team. And everybody knows the old adage, the best offense is a good defense.
Mm-hmm. And with the league now, it seems like every team is scoring 120, 130, 140 points per game. So the fact the Raptors have really focused on clamping down these teams, it's going to pay off in the long run as the league is kind of moving away from a defensive-oriented team. But yeah, you mentioned Danny Green's defense is great. We also have former Defensive Player of the Year, Kawhi Leonard. The game looks so easy for him tonight. He's had some poor shooting nights. That wasn't the case here. Well-rested Kawhi Leonard had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, but on 9 of 14 shooting. What did you see from Kawhi tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to pick apart anything that happened tonight. You're right. They handled this team. Every player was just Kawhi, Kyle Lowry. They were locked in the zone. And when you have your number one and your number two player facilitating the ball, making every shot, putting so much pressure on the opposing defense, then it makes it so easy for the rest of the team, the Siakams and the Ibakas and the Danny Greens, to just play smooth, confident basketball. But I would argue, I just get your take on this. In my opinion, the best player, if we can say that, okay, we'll run with it. The best player of the game was Nick Nurse.
Ooh.
And
Nick Nurse.
I'll let you make a comment on it before I explain and see if we're thinking the same way here.
Yeah, well, obviously he wasn't the best player as he wasn't playing, but the most valuable piece tonight. I think that's a very fair statement. Nick Nurse has just he's rotating guys, he's running through people, and players that have struggled in past seasons, not getting consistent minutes and not really knowing their role.
You're alluding to Norm?
Even though the minutes, alluding to Norm, Serge Ibaka, even though he always had minutes, but the players, it seems as if Nick Nurse is putting people in a position where they can succeed. CJ Miles is struggling with his shot, and Nick Nurse continues to put him in the spots, and hopefully that three-pointer will come. He had a little bit better of a shooting night tonight, still not completely back, but he's still playing defense, which is fine. Norman Powell, who had we won't spoil anything for the segments, but he was playing really well tonight, had 9 points, 4 rebounds, and it seems Serge Ibaka is just had a revelation on the basketball court. He looks like the Serge of old, the Oklahoma City Serge, playing defense, boxing out, and I think the rotating lineups and, playing lineups that make sense against the other team, all these improvements of these guys that weren't the greatest last year can be attributed to Nick.
Yeah, it's almost like I can't quite yet make this comment for Norman Powell, but it's almost like we're looking at a Serge Ibaka where it's understandable why they're paying him the amount that they're paying him.
Yep.
You're not shaking your head at his contract, but he's bringing the best out. And I've made this comment before the podcast started. What was most impressive to me is that he played the starting unit for almost the entire third quarter. Rightly so, to put the foot on the gas. They played incredible throughout the entire third. And traditionally, this is the Raptors' woes, is they always have a sluggish third quarter, and they need to bring in that bench unit to come back and pick them up, right? But this time, the starting unit, they absolutely demolished the Charlotte Hornets. And then he puts out an entire bench unit to start the fourth, or to end the third and start the fourth. And they let a couple of easy plays slide. The lead narrows just slightly, not a crazy amount. And he puts Kyle Lowry back in. He puts Kawhi Leonard back in. Most coaches, I would argue, would keep the bench unit out until it's almost a very close game because they have the lead. There's no reason. Yep. But Nick Nurse, I feel like his mantra is, if you're not playing well, you're going to sit. And he just brings the absolute best out of the entire team. We put in the scrub unit. I'll say this, that sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. The Malachi and the Lorenzo Brown, and they came out and played with as much intensity as the starters did. It's crazy.
The deep bench mob, Riker. The deep bench mob. Yeah, but you mentioned it. The point I really like that you brought up is the starting lineup. We talked about so much how last year the starting unit looked lethargic. They didn't really come up to par against the other unit, and they were our most talented five guys. DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, OG, Serge, and Jonas were usually the starters. But looking back at it, that lineup really didn't make sense. And now that we have, obviously we rotated DeMar for Kawhi, as DeMar's off the team. We made that trade, obviously. But with not having Jonas and Serge in the front court together this year too, it just makes so much more sense. And I think it's bringing the best out of the two players. Because we saw, we've talked about Serge so much in the first 4 games, but Jonas has also had a very strong start to the season. He had 17 points and 10 rebounds tonight in only 20 minutes. So, I think I'm just super excited, super happy that everything's working out right now. And now we're only 4 games in, and we have a long season to go, but things seem to be working out great right now.
Yeah, and I have 2 points to make before we continue on to the segment pieces. The first being Jonas. He needs to play, 17 points and 10 rebounds in 20 minutes. He needs to go out and be absolutely explosive every time he touches the floor because the pressure is completely on him this season. If I think he knows if he doesn't perform in his limited minutes, then he will see those minutes continue to diminish and get smaller. And this is difficult for a player who is being sort of pushed out of the league in terms of, we're seeing now mainly skilled big men who are able to step out from the three.
Playing style.
Exactly. And of course he's developing those attributes, but I mean, he's still not as, he doesn't have as much dexterity, as much quickness. So he really needs to make a point to prove his dominance when he goes out. And he's doing a really good job so far. The question I'll ask before we go to the segments though, if you think about this Raptors squad in terms of a courtship, so 2 people dating, right? We often hear like the honeymoon phase, but it seems so, to me, they're playing as if they're in the honeymoon phase. Everything is clicking perfectly, right? But Lowry didn't even talk to Kawhi over the offseason for the most part until the preseason, of course. We have a lot of frustrations, a lot of unknowns, a real roller coaster of happenings for the Toronto Raptors squad, and yet they're playing like they're having the best time of their lives. If you could put a point to what it is right now, are they going to continue to improve? Are they going to hit a peak? What is the expectations moving forward?
Well, as for the team morale, and we're seeing Lowry celebrate a little more, and I think everyone's just getting more comfortable with the roster because obviously tensions were high. The trade, the Raptors had the same core of guys for such a long time. They've had success, so it hurt morale a little bit to see DeMar DeRozan leave. But now I think everybody's seeing that this team has so much talent and so much, a potential championship contender. And they're winning games, and winning heals all of that. So, and we saw Kyle Lowry at the postgame against the Washington Wizards on NBA TV. He mentioned how Kawhi, they tried to bring up his relationship with Kawhi and get a negative answer. But Kyle Lowry said that's my dog. That's what he said. So hopefully they're getting closer, and I think they're just starting to realize that this is a legitimate team. And, as for if it's a honeymoon stage, I don't think it's, there's going to be ups and downs to the season. I don't think we're going 82-0, obviously. And it's going to be interesting to see how things hold up if we lose 1, 2, 3 games in a row. But this roster seems to be gelling, and the player personnel makes sense, right? Basketball wise, they all fit together perfectly. So I'm not really worried. And Kyle Lowry, Kawhi Leonard, they're both professional players. We're not gonna play, Kawhi or any of them through injuries, and that was obviously his frustration in San Antonio. We have great locker room guys in Danny Green and Serge Ibaka, and obviously all the bench mob has bought into the rotation. So I think we're gonna only keep getting better as the teammates, gel more and continue to realize that they're a championship possible contending team.
Of course. I mean, I would be disappointed if they didn't make a solid run for the championships. Now, we have a couple of things we've noticed in the comments. We always read the comments. There's a bit of a debate as to what the best title of this would be. We're still tentatively going the Kawhi you do him like that play of the night, but we've heard some good options here. The Kawhi play of the day, the Kawhi light. I like that one as well. Shout out to you guys being creative. Keep throwing them at us, and maybe we will change it if enough people want the Kawhi. But for now, sticking with the Kawhi, you do him like that play of the day. Take it away for us, Ben.
Well, tonight it has to go to my guy Norman Powell, Norm God. He came in, did his little cross, Norm's got a little bit of a handle. It looks a bit chaotic at times, but when he crosses people with it, it looks really good. Came down and just threw down a nasty poster. Norm's got some ups, man, I'm telling you.
No, that's definitely true. And I mean, we could almost equally give it to Van Vliet, who had a really sweet double cross towards the end. I mean, it just the whole game was a Kawhi you do him like that. Toronto just bullied Charlotte this evening. But one play in particular, of all the plays that I've witnessed in my recent life, last season included, the season before, this one really, to me, shines as an, oh, jeez. This one was absolutely crazy. It was in both of our minds. I even texted you when I seen it happen.
Yeah, no, the OGs tonight is going to our guy OG himself. Came in, it looked like a really clean dunk. He came down on the baseline. It looked like he was going to throw down a nasty yam. But Biz Daddy, as he does on Raptors courts, he's going to be getting blocks, and he got thrown in the game at the end there and just absolutely murdered OG. It was one of the nastiest blocks I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, 100%. And the only reason that I didn't cry watching it is because there's still so much love for Bismack Biyombo. He had an amazing run in Toronto. Absolute fan favorite. This had to be done.
That one season of Bismack Biyombo, it felt like he's a lifelong Raptor after that 1 year.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, most definitely. He was at the free throw line. I was hoping the crowd was gonna give some more cheers. The crowd was too quiet for Biz, even though he's on the other team. Always applaud Biz. This
crowd is a crowd that's there to support Kawhi Leonard. They don't maybe their minds are a little bit too present to understand the true magic that was it 3 seasons ago? Three seasons, 4 seasons. I don't know what it was, but Bismack Biyombo, his
2016,
his run was legendary.
Finally, and that goes in.
What goes in?
Yep. That goes into the Damari Carroll Gold Star Award tonight. I don't know what you had in mind for the Damari Carroll Gold Star, but we were talking about Biz, and the Damari Carroll Gold Star goes to the Hornets. Why are you not playing Biz?
I mean, I would really agree with that, and for more than one reason. Why are they not playing? Why are they not playing Tony Parker more? Why are they not playing the rookie more? His name is slipping my mind right now.
Malik Monk, maybe?
No, he's the second year. The rookie.
Oh, Bridges.
Yeah. I don't know why they don't play him more. He's an explosive player. Jay Triano, you got to wake up, man. Good Canadian boy, but I mean, of course, the Raptors. You're not going to beat them on the home court, and you've had success in the last 2 games, but man, show your players some love.
Yeah, most definitely. The Hornets got some talent. It's surprising that I think that Biz would be they gave him more minutes. I think that would be good for them, but maybe we're just still on the Biz high from 2016. But one last question I want to pose to you, right? Because this game was handily won. The Raptors were great.
Of course.
But how nice would it be to have Biz? If the Hornets somehow buy out Biz or something, to have Biz at the end of the bench. Would you like to see that happen?
It's so tough because, you know what, at this point, I don't even enjoy having Greg Monroe because, I think pretty highly of Greg Monroe. I think he's still a player that's able to contribute.
Talent.
The NBA apparently doesn't agree. He was traded from, 3 different teams last season, so really nobody believes in him at this point, but it really, I wouldn't go as far to say breaks my heart, but it does suck to see a player that can still has something left to give to really just be riding the pine. I think it would be the same situation for Bismack Biyombo, and if I had Biyombo on the team, we would need him to be out there with the finger wag and those crazy blocks and that high energy.
That's true.
So maybe on maybe when the Raptors are on their way down for maybe just like one last glory run, we'll get Bismack back.
Riker, I'm telling you, imagine the defense of a lineup of Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, OG Anunoby, and Bismack Biyombo.
That's it. They wouldn't need to score. They need to score 1 point, and that'd be 1-0 at the end of the game.
No one would score ever on that lineup. I'm just dreaming of that. Obviously, we're so deep at center right now because the fact we moved Serge to that center and we have that rotating positions. And, that's another thing. Greg Monroe's a guy that we talked about earlier in the podcast how Serge and Jonas, they got a sense of urgency this year. Because there's 2 guys that could steal minutes from another. If one of them starts playing poorly, we have Greg Monroe's insurance ready. I'm sure is ready to go to play and steal some of their minutes if they're underperforming.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Knock on wood. I think the real insurance is injuries, which we don't want to see happen. So hopefully we never have to see Greg Monroe play actual minutes. But if it happens, we can definitely be assured that he will go out and produce. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so let's see.
For sure. Anyways, great win tonight. This is exactly what we want to see against teams like the Hornets. Absolutely just squash them. Don't give them a chance to breathe and get back in this game. The Raptors did that. Let us know what you guys think. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram. Raptors Digest says the Instagram has been really cooking lately and might throw up some polls on some, segment names up on there. So
yeah, that's a good
definitely
idea.
Follow that. Check that out.
Segment names also, I'll say it on the podcast so we can be held responsible for it. Put out some polls of segment ideas, not segment ideas, just podcast ideas, because we want to keep, the post-game podcast, but also we want to talk about just regular information, keep everybody as close to the Raptors as possible. So let us know what you think about that.
Most definitely. Anyways, great win. You're the best for listening this far. Rock out.
Cheers.